Welcome, dear viewers, to this odd story of a man's release and the hero's glory. In the first months of 2022, as most of you likely knew, Russian forces began to fight Ukraine, yet many of them have since been slain. While this perilous fight was raging, the Russian state was propagandizing, and the art classes gave the orders that students draw art for Russian soldiers. One April day at a school in Yefremov town, such directives were handed down. Yet young Masha Moskalyova did not comply, but made an anti-war drawing that tells no lie. Though this is just a child's art project, yet the government to this did object. So the girl's father, Alexei, was sent to jail and for discrediting the army was put on trial. The court had sentenced him to 2 years in prison for making such a condemnation, and Masha herself was soon returned to her mother, who wanted to ward the drawings from her. The return of young Masha to her mother was facilitated by the Children's Rights Commissioner, who is wanted in 100 countries, I must mention, for kidnapping many of Ukraine's children.
Она здесь сейчас хочет сказать важные слова. Анечка, умничка, не стесняйся, говори. Мы с тобой, мы рядом.
Спасибо дяде Юре за то, что он меня, мою сестру и сотни тысяч детей спас с Мариуполя. Я чуть-чуть
Yet despite all of the state's treachery, Masha is sure she will have her victory. 'Tis said that be patient is very good advice, and such wisdom would work very well, for she wrote letters to her dad twice, while events would soon work to their favor. Last October, on a golden afternoon, our Alexei from jail was released, and to add to such a great boon, to him his little Masha has been returned. Off to Armenia they went to seek a home anew, and then to Germany they tried to fly. Yet since the German visa law is under review, the Interior Ministry said to them, "We deny." Now after months of filming elsewhere, and travelling around going for a spin, Jonathan has returned to share that our friends abroad will finally win. Now that I, the prologue, served my purpose, let us begin, my audience, with this. Hi, it's Jonathan, and welcome to a very special Trident video. Today I'll continue to recount a certain ordeal that I've been interested in for over 2 years. As the narrator had mentioned, in April 2022, a young girl named Masha drew an anti-war drawing in an art class. This, I suspect, would lead to her father, Alexei Moskalyov, to be jailed and sentenced to 2 years in prison on charges of discreditation of the army by making certain internet comments he may or may not have ever made. Meanwhile, a friend of the Moskalyovs, Yelena Agafonova, became the first milkmaid in Russia to be registered as a foreign agent. While one of the journalists that reported on it, Sultanbekova, is now in exile in Armenia. I have made 2 videos detailing this bizarre case in further detail. Well, this strange case is now over. From the 15th of October 2024, Alexei was released early.
That's excellent.
Thanks, George. They are currently in Armenia, trying to get to Germany. Although, due to German immigration policies, they have yet to do so. May I give you a further update regarding the Moskalyovs?
Sure.
Thank you. This is the story of the release of Alexei Moskalyov and of the insolence of office. After several hearings have sentenced Alexei to prison, the support group Freedom to Masha Moskalyova continued to advocate for his release as well as sending food and other items to his prison cell. Sultanbekova has operated the Telegram channels Free Masha M and Free Moskalyov to advocate in support of Alexei and other political prisoners in Russia. The maximum amount of goods that can be mailed to a prisoner is 20 kilograms every 2 months. But the support group, with Masha's advice, made sure Alexei got what he needed out of it. Alexei, in turn, continued to follow current events, including writing a letter in October 2023, hoping that the conflict between Israel and Palestine does not spread beyond the border of those two states. He is every bit as peaceful as his daughter. By the 23rd of November, Alexei even managed to send a phone call to Masha, thereby helping communication between him, his daughter, and the larger world. This is well timed, for at around the same time, the First Court of General Cassation in the city of Saratov announced that on the 6th of December it would hold another trial.
Oh, good. Here we go again.
What, George? Are these trials as predictable as witch trials in New England? Anyway, on the 6th of December, the Court of Cassation assembled to discuss Alexei's case. Though, curiously, the court prohibited most of it from being filmed because it is unclear whether the goal is for discreditation, including of the judiciary. Unsurprisingly, the fact that the court was afraid that reporting on it may discredit the judiciary led to that specific post getting 40 clown emoji, 20 cursing emoji, and 3 grins, straight faces, and crying emoji each. Whatever, the prosecutor argued before the Court of Chickens that the sentence that was imposed on Alexei was too lenient, since under Russian law, crimes committed during an armed conflict, like the war in Ukraine, can have a harsher sentence, since armed conflict is an aggravating circumstance. Alexei's lawyer, Vladimir Bilyenka, countered with an argument that he made in a previous hearing in June. Since there wasn't any armed conflict occurring in Tula Oblast at the time, it cannot possibly be an aggravating circumstance. By this logic, Mr. Bilyenka argued, you can point to military action as an aggravating circumstance, even when stealing a chicken somewhere in Chukotka. For context, Chukotka is the Russian region farthest away from the war in Ukraine. For this argument, the support group made a comment saying, Bilyenka is our elephant, using a Russian slang term of praise. The Court of Cassation ruled that due to violations of the criminal procedure law, the original verdict would be overturned and Alexei would be transferred from prison to a pre-trial detention center to await a new trial. On the 30th of December, the support group released a New Year's Eve message, thanking everyone for their support, including the citizenry, the independent media, Yelena the milkmaid foreign agent, who is also the subject of her own documentary, Mr. Bilyenka, the lawyer, and most of all, Masha herself. It is thanks to their help that so many people around the world, myself included, were able to hear this story, and moreover, this new trial can be held. While the judiciary was waiting to schedule a new trial, the support group demanded the pre-trial detention center provide the medical care that Alexei has a right to, raised funds for the hiring of a lawyer, to great success, and advocated in support of fellow dissidents. Finally, on the 30th of January, it was announced that the Tula Regional Court would hold the new trial on the 5th of February. On the 4th of February, this new trial began, at which Alexei participated via video call, and Mr. Bilyenka was, once again, his lawyer. The prosecution yet again demanded a harsher sentence due to aggravating circumstances, while also citing a magnet with extremist inscriptions made by Masha as a proof of Alexei's guilt. Mr. Bilyenka, in turn, noted that the anti-Kremlin internet comments that Alexei was convicted for in the first place may have been the result of Alexei's account being hacked. Mr. Bilyenka explained, the goal was to convict my client at any cost. I believe that this is revenge for his position, for the public outcry that has arisen around him and his family. The court then took a break, during which time Masha herself turned 14, leading to this heartwarming birthday message from the support group. The court reconvened on the 19th of February after scheduling a new psychological and linguistic examination of Alexei's alleged posts. Although Mr. Bilyenko opposed this examination as unnecessary, it nevertheless proceeded, and it found that of the 5 alleged comments that Alexei made, only 3 had signs of discreditation of the Russian army, and that statements like "Russia is a sponsor of terrorism" cannot be considered discreditation. Thus, although the court still banned Alexei from administering websites for 2 years, it did reduce his sentence in prison to 1 year and 10 months, a full 2 months shorter than before. On the 7th of March, the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention demanded that Alexei be released immediately, determining that his persecution was illegal under international law. The advocacy group praised this decision. While waiting for his release, the advocacy group continued to support him by calling on the citizenry to write letters to him, raise funds for Mr. Bilyenko's work as a lawyer, and sending goodies like food and magazines, as well as raising awareness for other political prisoners. Eventually, on the 29th of July, the support group announced excellent news. Alexei's prison term will come to an end in the fall of 2024. After a few more months of waiting, and one incident in which the support group pressured the prison staff to deliver the food he needed, he would indeed be released. On the 15th of October 2024, the staff at the prison in Novomoskovsk escorted Alexei to the paperwork office. He was duly released from prison, and he, a newly freed man, was soon reunited with his Masha and her dog.
Я вас еще должен сфотографировать. Где-то уж тут. Вы от меня не увернете.
The support group thanked Mr. Bilyenko for his help, while Alipat thanked everyone who helped. Alexei himself, before going home, thanked the journalists and volunteers that helped him. Alexei was soon interviewed by OVD Info, a human rights organization, about this ordeal. This interview is so comprehensive, I'll link it in the description of this video.
I'm glad that Alexei has gotten his freedom.
Thanks, George. I'm glad that this story is nearing its close. While I am here, I may as well give an epilogue to my tale. After Alexei's release, which made international headlines as far away as the Washington Post, he and Masha began to live together again. They are now in Armenia. Alipat Sultan Begova would continue to use the Telegram channels created to support the Moskalyovs to support other people imprisoned by Russia, such as programmer Nina Slobodchikova, sentenced to 12 years in prison for donating 5,000 rubles to a fundraiser for Ukraine, journalist Antonina Pavolskaya, who covered the trials of political prisoners before being arrested for extremism herself, political activist Anna Archipova, who is imprisoned for anti-government statements as part of a broader crackdown on the Vesna movement, and more. Alipat would continue operating the Moskalyov family Telegram channel until the 5th of June 2025, when she gave the channel to Masha herself. In her first post, Masha thanked Alipat for helping her and giving her the channel, and announced that she has already written 2 novels entitled The Story of a Meeting and Gone with the Storm. These youth romance novels have since been followed by the fantasy works In the Temptation of You and The Symphony of Fear. All of these have been published in the Russian language. Masha, however, is not done with the fight for freedom, for she has since used the Telegram channel as a platform to advocate for Ukraine and for political prisoners in Russia, as well as against the Russian government and the serf scum that helped it remain in power. She is an excellent political activist, and I strongly recommend her channel. I, however, have only one more favor to ask you, the viewer, with regards to the Moskalyovs. Alexei and Masha, who currently reside in Armenia, have applied for a humanitarian visa to live in Germany. This is particularly important since Russia, which has a military base in Armenia, has been known to arrest/kidnap dissidents that fled there. However, Germany's Federal Ministry of the Interior suspended its humanitarian visa program at the end of July. This led to the Moskalyova's visa application and those of other dissidents to be denied. Apparently, this suspension was part of an agreement that formed the governing coalition that assumed power in Germany a couple months ago, in which a review of procedures would be conducted during the suspension. However, it did say that even during this suspension, exceptions can be made for visas in particularly special individual cases. Therefore, German viewers, if you in mind, please call on the ministry to consider Masha's case. After all, in my opinion, everything about this is a special case. For who else gets imprisoned for drawings?
I hope that they can come to Germany soon.
Thanks, George. I believe that Germany should spend less time keeping our friends out of their borders and more time keeping our enemies out of Ukraine. Badger the Interior Ministry enough, my German friends, and this strange story can come to an end. Thank you, everyone, for hearing her story. And now we have finished telling our tale of how a drawing got a man in jail, and how he and his little daughter have gained an Armenian shelter. German friends, do them a favor and tell your Interior Minister Alexei and Masha fight for what's right, and for Ukrainian friends to win the fight. Our scripture contains this divine command: if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him. Then listen to that bit, Minister, and give these people another look. Ask Berlin to let these friends into Germany, and focus instead on helping Ukraine's army, so that our common enemy can be defeated, and hopefully Russia can be liberated. I hope you learned plenty from this story. Spread around this tale of liberty. All of this, I assure you, is most certainly true. That's all I have time to tell you today, so I will see you another day.